For over 200 years, Oak Island has hidden its secrets beneath layers of soil, stone, and mystery. Legends speak of buried Templar treasures, pirate gold, and lost relics. Countless treasure hunters have ventured here, lured by the promise of discovery, only to be thwarted by the island's infamous traps and challenges. But now, with cutting-edge technology, new evidence has emerged. Hidden chambers, ancient coins, and traces of gold, clues that could reshape our understanding of history. Each find brings the team closer to solving one of the world's most enduring treasure mysteries. But with every step forward, they also move deeper into potential danger. Before we dive into the latest and most shocking discoveries on Oak Island, be sure to subscribe and join the hunt, because what's coming could change everything. The late afternoon sun stretched long shadows across the dig site, casting a golden glow over the ground. The air was thick with tension and expectation. The crew had spent hours methodically scanning the area, their metal detectors sweeping in slow, deliberate arcs. Dust clung to their boots, and the only sound was the rhythmic pulse of the detector. Suddenly, Jack Adams stood up, eyes fixed on the small screen in his hands. Without raising his voice, he called out, "Hey, I've got a metal target." His tone was calm, but the weight behind his words brought the entire team to a halt. The device's usual faint chirp had shifted to a sharper, more insistent signal, one that couldn't be ignored. In seconds, the crew converged around him, their footsteps crunching softly in the dirt. Jack pointed to a spot marked with a faint X scratched into the earth with the toe of his boot. The readings were unmistakable. Something metallic was buried there, deep enough to be hidden, but close enough to be within reach. And on Oak Island, every piece of metal could be a clue, a relic, or the missing piece to a centuries-old puzzle. Throughout history, treasure hunters have whispered of gold buried deep underground, of mysterious artifacts, and of deadly traps designed to protect secrets. Was this another piece of that legend? Memories of past discoveries came rushing back, the booby traps that triggered flooding tunnels, the rumors of treasure buried beneath the swamp, the strange relics that disappeared as quickly as they were found. Every dig here has the potential to be groundbreaking, or to end in disappointment. As the crew readied their tools, the mood shifted. Excitement was tinged with caution. Whatever lay beneath the surface could be ancient, delicate, or even dangerous. But one thing was clear. This is why they came to Oak Island. And somehow, this moment, this signal, felt different. Long before Jack Adams ever stepped foot on this island, long before sonar scans and advanced tech revealed what lay hidden below, Oak Island had already become a legend. The mystery began in 1795, when three young men, Daniel McGinnis, John McGinnis, and Anthony Vaughan, discovered a strange stone inscribed with a cryptic message, Smith, and Anthony Vaughan noticed something strange on the island's eastern end. It didn't look extraordinary at first, just a shallow dip in the ground, overgrown with grass. But something about it called to them. Whether it was luck, instinct, or something unexplainable, they began to dig. What they uncovered was unlike anything ever seen in Nova Scotia. Just a few feet down, their shovels hit wood. Carefully, they pried it free, revealing a wooden platform, clearly constructed with purpose. And so began the legend of Oak Island. A mystery layered in history, hidden beneath the earth, waiting for the right team to uncover the truth. Beneath that first wooden platform, they found more soil. And then, another 10 feet down, another platform. The pattern repeated: timber, then soil, then timber again, like clockwork. Every 10 feet, a new layer. It became clear that someone had gone to extraordinary lengths to build this. This wasn't natural. It was deliberate, crafted with intent. Whoever had buried something here wanted to make sure it stayed hidden. The men kept digging, determined to reach the bottom. But the deeper they went, the more difficult the work became. Eventually, they had to stop. They hadn't reached the end, but what they had found was enough to ignite a legend. Word spread quickly, and soon the shaft had a name: the Money Pit. Over the years, treasure hunters from across North America and beyond made their way to Oak Island, all driven by the same hope, that they would be the ones to uncover what lay at the bottom. But Oak Island wasn't giving up its secrets that easily. As decades passed, a disturbing pattern emerged. Every time a crew dug beyond a certain depth, the pit would suddenly flood with freezing seawater. It seemed to come from nowhere, cutting off their progress and forcing them to abandon their work. Eventually, explorers uncovered the reason why: hidden flood tunnels, carefully carved through bedrock, leading straight from the ocean. The implications were staggering. Whoever had built the money pit hadn't just buried something, they'd built a trap, a complex mechanical defense system, centuries ahead of its time, one designed to protect something of immense value. In the 2 centuries that followed, Oak Island would take more than money, it would take lives. At least 6 men have died trying to unlock its secrets, adding a tragic layer to an already haunting mystery. Still, the search never stopped. The promise of buried treasure, priceless relics, or a forgotten chapter of history kept calling out to adventurers, researchers, and dreamers. Governments, wealthy investors, even celebrities, all took their turn, believing they might succeed where others had failed. Theories exploded in every direction. Some believed the pit hid pirate gold. Others thought it contained ancient manuscripts or religious relics. Many were convinced it was the final resting place of the Knights Templar's most sacred treasures, and that obsession has never faded. Now, as Jack Adams stands over a mysterious metal signal buried in the dirt, the echoes of that first discovery in 1795 seem closer than ever. The question hangs in the air: will this finally be the moment that history gives up its greatest secret? For more than 200 years, Oak Island has fueled speculation. Where fact and folklore mix so tightly, it's hard to separate one from the other. And maybe that's part of what makes it so powerful. Every discovery here, every shred of evidence, seems to raise more questions than it answers. One of the most enduring theories ties Oak Island to the Knights Templar, the secretive order of warrior monks said to have accumulated immense wealth during the Crusades. According to legend, the Templars, fleeing persecution in the 1300s, escaped to the New World carrying their sacred treasures. Some believe they chose Oak Island as their hiding place. Strange symbols carved into stone, weathered maps, and even ancient-looking crosses found scattered around the island have been interpreted as possible Templar clues. There are even those who suggest that the Holy Grail, or the Ark of the Covenant, could lie buried beneath the island's surface. Others point to the golden age of piracy, when the Atlantic was ruled by ruthless captains in search of plunder. Among them, the name Captain William Kidd stands out. Kidd, a notorious Scottish pirate executed in 1701, was long rumored to have stashed part of his massive fortune before he was captured. Some believe the intricate booby traps found on Oak Island could be the work of someone like Kidd, a man desperate to protect his treasure from both enemies and the law. And then there are the even more far-reaching theories. Some researchers propose that Oak Island was once the site of a lost civilization, a people with advanced engineering skills who created the pit and its sophisticated flood systems with unimaginable precision for their time. For some, the real treasure of Oak Island might not be gold or jewels, but something far more valuable: lost knowledge, ancient scrolls, powerful artifacts, or even forgotten technologies. One of the most captivating theories suggests the island may conceal a hidden vault containing secret manuscripts, documents so significant they could rewrite history as we know it. These records could include anything from Shakespeare's lost works to encrypted religious texts or classified state secrets, smuggled across the ocean under cover of darkness. Some believe that if such a vault were uncovered, the implications would be earth-shattering, challenging the very foundations of what we think we know about the past. Over the years, countless expeditions have tried to solve the Oak Island mystery. From large corporations with deep pockets to lone adventurers driven by obsession, all have arrived with equipment, drills, pumps, and even explosives, trying to outmatch the island's defenses. But time after time, the money pit proved superior. It collapsed shafts, flooded tunnels, and swallowed tools and machines without warning. Each setback only added to the island's reputation, deepening the mystery and fueling the legend. Even the failures have become part of Oak Island's story. Over the decades, searchers have uncovered strange artifacts, old coins, pieces of chain, fragments of ancient parchment. Nothing ever quite definitive, but always just intriguing enough to keep the search alive. To skeptics, these finds are little more than random debris. To believers, they are proof that something extraordinary lies just beneath the surface. And so, the rumors continue. Is Oak Island the final chapter in a long-lost tale of knights, pirates, and kings? Is it hiding priceless relics in a centuries-old vault? Or is it an elaborate deception, built long ago to mislead the world? The answers are still buried in the earth, waiting for that one discovery that could finally bring closure to generations of speculation. As Jack Adams and the modern search team prepare to dig at the site of their newly detected metal signal, they bring more than just equipment. They carry the hopes and dreams of everyone who came before them. One strike of the shovel could either bring the legend crashing down or confirm it once and for all. 2 centuries of digging have taught a harsh lesson. Oak Island doesn't give up its secrets easily. But Rick and Marty Lagina came to the island determined to succeed where so many had failed. Armed with not only determination, but with 21st century technology. In the early years of their quest, they realized that brute force wouldn't be enough. Past teams had already tried digging huge shafts, draining entire swamps, and even using dynamite, all with disastrous results. The Laginas took a different path. They chose precision. Their goal was to see what lay beneath the surface before disturbing it. Using advanced sonar and ground-penetrating radar, they began to scan the island layer by layer. With every sweep, their machines revealed ghostly images of what lay below. Voids, chambers, and oddly symmetrical shapes that nature couldn't explain. The scans suggested the existence of a tunnel network, some branching toward the swamp, others spreading from the money pit like spokes on a wheel. And these weren't just empty cavities. When they drilled down and pulled up core samples, they found ancient timber, precisely cut, and still remarkably well preserved. Experts confirmed the wood was centuries old. In some cases, it even matched descriptions of flood tunnel systems documented in early records, suggesting these were the same ingenious traps designed to protect whatever was buried deep below. Then, something even more compelling surfaced. Stone fragments with mysterious symbols carved into them. The markings didn't resemble anything from local history or colonial times. Some historians saw similarities between these inscriptions and symbols thought to be linked to the Knights Templar, cryptic codes possibly used to conceal messages in plain sight. Were these stones part of a map? A warning? Or instructions left by the original builders? The team's tech-first approach didn't stop there. They expanded their investigation to include chemical testing, collecting water samples from the island's deepest shafts to analyze what seeped into the underground structures. When the test results came back, they revealed something unexpected: traces of gold. At first, it might have seemed like a fluke, but it wasn't. Multiple samples confirmed it. The amounts were tiny, almost microscopic, but unmistakable. It was enough to suggest that somewhere deep below, gold truly existed, perhaps trapped in layers of sediment or eroded from a much larger deposit. With every new clue, the mystery only grew deeper. The sonar scans revealed a picture of precision, tunnels and chambers arranged not randomly, but with purpose. It was clear. This was the work of skilled hands. The timber samples suggested craftsmen with experience in shipbuilding or large-scale hidden construction. Meanwhile, the mysterious stone carvings hinted at a global connection, symbols tied to ancient traditions, carrying a hidden meaning. And those tiny traces of gold? They were a whisper of something far greater still buried below. For Rick and Marty Lagina, the stakes couldn't be higher. Every scan, every core sample, every strange carving brought them closer to proving that something of incredible value had been deliberately hidden here, something the world had chased for over 200 years. But nothing on Oak Island comes easy. The deeper they dig, the more resistance they encounter. Collapsing shafts, sudden floods, vanishing clues. The island gives just enough to keep hope alive, never enough to solve the puzzle completely. Now, with Jack Adams's discovery looming, the time may finally come to put all of their high-tech tools to the ultimate test. For the Laginas, this hunt isn't just about gold, it's about uncovering a lost chapter of history. And as always, Oak Island seems to be holding its breath. On this island, even the smallest find can speak volumes. Sometimes, just a few inches of soil can connect people across centuries. That's exactly what happened on Lot 5. A quiet stretch of land, tucked away from the infamous money pit, yet no less steeped in mystery. For Rick Lagina and Gary Drayton, Oak Island's expert in metal detection, this area had always held promise. Signals in the soil hinted at objects that didn't belong to ordinary history. The day started like so many others, with Gary methodically sweeping the area with his detector. The hum of the machine filled the air, until a sudden, sharp tone broke the silence. Both men knew instantly. This was different. Gary knelt down and carefully began digging. A glint of metal soon appeared in the dirt. It was a coin. Though dulled by time and corrosion, the team quickly began to analyze it. The composition revealed it was bronze, 94% copper, 5% silver. The remaining trace elements suggested techniques used in ancient metalworking. It wasn't Roman, but it wasn't modern either. Its exact origin was uncertain, but its age was clear. Someone had dropped it centuries, maybe even 1,000 years ago. Encouraged, Rick and Gary kept going. Hours later, the detector rang out again. Another target, another dig. This time, the coin they unearthed was made of a copper silicon lead tin alloy. To the untrained eye, it was just an old piece of metal. But experts recognized the mix. It was consistent with the makeup of ancient Roman coins. And yet, here it was, far from Europe, buried on a remote island in Nova Scotia. Theories began to swirl. Could the Knights Templar, rumored to have possessed Roman artifacts, have brought such coins across the Atlantic? Was this evidence of a medieval voyage to the New World, long before Columbus? Then came a third signal. This one was deeper, harder to locate. When they finally freed the coin from the soil, its composition told yet another story: copper, silver, iron, and manganese. Tests confirmed it was a French denier, minted in the 13th century. This was no ordinary find. It came from the same era, and likely the same cultural circles, as the mysterious lead cross uncovered on the island years earlier. The denier's origin pointed directly to Templar strongholds in France, adding another layer to the unfolding story. 3 coins. 3 distinct metal compositions. 3 different time periods and possible origins, each stretching across continents and centuries. Were these coins dropped by separate visitors at different points in history? Or had they traveled together, carried in a pouch by someone who once walked these shores, long before modern maps and borders existed? For Rick and Gary, the implications were staggering. Every discovery added weight to the theory that Oak Island had been visited, and perhaps used, by people far earlier and more diverse than anyone had imagined. The discovery of the coin suggested something much larger than a single voyage or a lone hidden treasure. Oak Island wasn't just the setting for one historical event, it was a crossroads, a place that had possibly been visited by different groups across time, each with their own reasons, each leaving behind traces of their presence. As the team packed up for the day, the weight of what they'd uncovered started to sink in. Individually, the coins were remarkable artifacts, but together they formed a story, a clue pointing toward a layered and complex history. One where Templar knights, medieval French traders, and ancient seafarers might all have stepped onto the same soil, centuries apart. And on Oak Island, that stage still stands, waiting for the next part of the story to unfold. There are moments in the search when speculation gives way to something concrete, something that forces even the most seasoned team members to pause and reassess the scale of the mystery. One of those moments came during the excavation of the garden shaft, a narrow vertical tunnel that had become one of the island's most promising areas. What began as a routine examination took a sharp turn. core samples of old timber pulled from deep within the shaft were sent to the lab for analysis. The team expected to confirm the age of the wood and see if it matched other tunnel systems on the island. But what they found was something no one expected. The timber contained 0.11% gold. This wasn't from surface contamination or a stray flake. The gold was embedded within the fibers of the wood itself, meaning that the timber had been in contact with gold for a long period. Whether it had been near gold bars, coins, or gilded relics, the implication was clear. Something valuable had once rested close to this very shaft. The discovery gave new life to theories that the garden shaft could have been part of a sophisticated vault system, not just built to hide treasure, but to protect it with clever engineering and deadly traps. That trace of gold in the wood was silent proof that something important had once been there. And the shaft wasn't finished giving up its secrets. As the excavation continued, the team uncovered a collection of ornate religious relics, objects unlike anything typically found at a colonial site. These included finely crafted crosses, made from gold and silver, some detailed with intricate enamel patterns that pointed to medieval or even older origins. Alongside them were ceremonial objects, items that may have been used in sacred rituals or symbolized spiritual authority. These were not random discarded trinkets. They were meaningful objects, powerful in both symbolism and craftsmanship. Their presence suggested that whoever buried them wasn't simply stashing away riches, they were protecting something sacred. Speculation surged. Some believed early European explorers could have brought such items with them, perhaps to consecrate new territory or to ensure divine protection. But others pointed to a more mysterious source: the Knights Templar. The Templars, a secretive and powerful order, were known for amassing great treasures and holding religious relics. If they had truly fled Europe in the 14th century to escape persecution, could they have brought their most sacred possessions across the ocean? Could Oak Island have been their final refuge? For Rick and Marty Lagina, this convergence, gold embedded in ancient wood and relics buried deep underground, marked a turning point in their search. It was no longer just a hunt for pirate treasure or scattered coins. It had become something far bigger. They were uncovering pieces of a forgotten story, one that might connect distant continents, lost civilizations, and long-extinct orders of faith. The island seemed to be speaking in fragments, a layer of gold clinging to old timber, a cross hidden beneath the mud, a ceremonial artifact lying in a place no one should have been able to reach. And as work continued on the garden shaft, the idea of intentional design became undeniable. Whoever had buried these things hadn't just hidden them, they had made sure they would remain hidden for generations. Whether it was the work of a secret brotherhood, a wealthy explorer, or some unknown force from history's shadows, one truth had become clear: Oak Island still holds its secrets. And with each new find, the team moves closer to revealing the heart of one of history's most enduring mysteries. For every clue Oak Island reveals, it seems to present even more questions. The discoveries so far, coins from across continents, traces of gold embedded in centuries-old timber, and intricately crafted relics with sacred undertones, have created a picture far more intricate and mysterious than anyone initially imagined. But these finds also raise a far more tantalizing possibility. Could all of these artifacts be part of a much larger, hidden cache? If the coins, relics, and gold traces are truly connected, they might represent remnants of a once complete treasure, perhaps a chamber that was breached long ago. Or maybe they were never scattered at all. Maybe these pieces are part of an elaborate design, carefully placed to mislead anyone who dared search for a central vault still lying untouched beneath Oak Island. Some historians and researchers believe the growing body of evidence points not to random drops or unrelated discoveries, but to a single, extraordinary event. An organized effort to transport and conceal something of immense value, both material and symbolic. Could this be the legacy of the Knights Templar, fleeing persecution in Europe and determined to protect their sacred treasures? Or perhaps the calculated work of a pirate like Captain William Kidd, hiding not only gold, but documents or powerful relics? Could one pivotal moment in history explain how medieval coins, French currency, Roman alloys, and religious artifacts all ended up buried on this quiet patch of Nova Scotian ground? And then there's Smith's Cove. Long a focal point of Oak Island's legend, Smith's Cove has revealed wooden structures, possible flood tunnel entrances, and stone formations marked with mysterious symbols. Now, with help from ground-penetrating radar and sonar, scans suggest something even more intriguing: a sealed chamber hidden deep beneath the cove, a void that has never been explored. Its size and shape suggest more than a natural formation. It could be what so many have searched for: the final vault. The one the flood tunnels were constructed to protect, with traps and engineering far ahead of their time. For Rick, Marty, and the entire team, the situation is both thrilling and maddening. Modern technology has peeled back layers of secrecy that once seemed impenetrable. They're closer than any group has ever come. And yet Oak Island continues to resist. The ground shifts. The tunnels collapse. Water seeps in, as though the island itself is still trying to protect its greatest secret. Each new discovery is a victory, but also a reminder that the real treasure, the one that could explain it all, remains just out of reach. Is it a trove of gold bars? A cache of sacred relics? A hidden archive of ancient manuscripts that could change our understanding of history? Or is it something no one has even imagined? Something so unexpected it could upend every theory ever proposed. As the sun sets over Oak Island, the team stands quietly at the edge of their latest dig. The cool breeze from the Atlantic carries a sense of anticipation, along with the weight of hundreds of years of questions. They've found coins, they've found relics, they've uncovered traces of gold, they've mapped tunnels and outlined hidden chambers still waiting below. But one question hangs in the air, heavier than all the rest. Is this the conclusion of a centuries-old search, or the first step toward Oak Island's greatest and final revelation?